Hi, Singapore. This is the former 100 meters world record, Ben Johnson, and you are listening to the guys on 938 Live.
From 938 Live.
This is Formula One driver Fernando Alonso.
Hi, Singapore. I'm Jürgen Klinsmann.
Hi, I'm Martin Tyler.
This is Annika Sorenstam.
Hi, Singapore. This is Johnny Wilson. You're locked on to the best in sport. Cheers.
It's that time again when we share with you the best in sport. A good Saturday, and welcome to SportsZone right here on 938 Live. I'm Noor Farhan flying solo today, and on our show we'll be talking about the sport of middle and long distance running ahead of the Standard Chartered Marathon Singapore, which will flag off tomorrow morning. And on SportsZone today we have with us possibly enough stamina in the room to circle the globe on foot. We have with us multiple Olympic and world distance champion Haile Gebrselassie, and now he's the biggest international track star to ever grace our studio in SportsZone's 16-year history. And we also have with us our local middle distance and long distance heroes in Mok Ing Ren and Colin Tung. Now let's lace up our running shoes and start the show with you, Haile. Thanks for coming down, and first of all, it's a great honor to meet you, and you'll be competing in the 10 km run in the Standard Chartered Marathon tomorrow morning. How are you feeling right now?
Thank you very much. First of all, I would like to say thank you to the organizer of the Standard Chartered Marathon here, and it's just really a privilege for me, just to take part in this race. And one of the question right now for me, why I didn't come, just for many years. I should come here 10-15 years ago, but okay, something is better from nothing, and I am here. Such a beautiful country, a beautiful city, and I wish just to run and win tomorrow.
All right. Now, you've of course decided on the 10k distance, of which you've ran the distance in 26 minutes and 22 seconds before. Now, why the 10k in Singapore?
I cannot do the marathon. I wish just to run the marathon, but the marathon is a bit tough, for me. I'm not prepared, just for a marathon. My preparation is just right now. It's in and off, and that's why I'm not ready to run a marathon. 10k is really, a distance. Just I can handle it with the boys, next to each. Yeah, they are gentlemen already.
All right. Now, you're, of course, 41 years old now, and as recently as 2008, you broke the full marathon world record with a time of 2 hours and 3 minutes and 59 seconds in Berlin, Germany. Now, Haile, I just have to ask you, what's the secret to your extremely high stamina? Are you born with it, or is it more of training and more hard work?
By the way, it's not by born. If it is by born, or if it is a gene, my children can be a good runner. But none of them. My elder daughter, she's 16, but she cannot run. She don't run. But my son is a boy. He's 9. Maybe he looks like a good. A footballer. He's playing a lot. It's just running is just has to be like a background, the way how you grow in a countryside, a daily life. I grew in the countryside, just start, just running at the age of 2-3, and the whole of my life, just I used to run, like going to school, helping a parent, going to school. How many kilometers between where I live and where I took my school? It's 10k.
Oh.
Every day you see 20k, 10k to school and another 10k back home. This is this is why I am running a long distance. I'm running just good. This is I think one of my secret. And the other thing, of course, on the top of that, you have to. Athletes they have to have not only athletics, not only sport. All discipline. To be a good journalist, to be a good student, to be a good things. What you want. First, you have to have a goal. You have to have after a goal, what it comes? A discipline. What kind of discipline do you need, just to be a best? And the third one is hard work. If you combine 3 together, you can do what you want.
All right. Now, Ingrid, I'm sure you're in awe of the incredible feats of Haile as well. You're also a decorated marathoner in your own right, as I saw you win the gold medal in Myanmar last year in the Southeast Asian Games. Now, do you grow up watching Haile on TV as well in the Olympics, and is your career indirectly inspired by his?
Definitely, there are many runners out there in the world who inspire us over here in Singapore to run well, and Harley is definitely one of them. And watching him run is just so graceful and beautiful, and you just try and emulate that in your running. And sometimes when we are feeling down during training, we think about all these great people who just keep running and pushing themselves hard. It makes us want to push harder as well.
All right, now Ingrid, we'll be talking about your current recovery from your shin injury later on in our show. But how are you feeling ahead of your full marathon race tomorrow?
I think I'm feeling pretty good. I mean, my shin injury has been bugging me since June this year. It's been a long time, you know. And over the last 2 months, I started putting more consistent running, daily runs, and trying to build my volume back up. So now it's somewhere about 75% to my normal, but the intensity is still not there yet. So I've been doing a couple of long runs, 2 hours 45 minutes with some of my friends, and tomorrow's run will just be another long run for me, trying to get out there and build the confidence back that my injury is not there anymore. Yep.
Right, now if there was one question though, if you could ask Ailey himself, who's seated right next to you, what would it be?
I think one thing I ask him is, how do you get out there and train hard every day? Sometimes you have to train yourself, and sometimes you feel lonely. But how do you just keep doing it day in, day out?
Well, one thing what I want to tell you, just what is sport, what are running. Running is just it's not just the one let me do today and tomorrow I have to do this one instead of running. If you challenge, one of the best thing, just in especially long distance, if you accept your pain, if you challenge your pain, because the injury always there. If you talk, just don't be injured mentally. Don't be injured mentally. Means, just how, this is, how possible that. Don't be injured mentally. But, for me, what I advise you, forget where the pain occurred. A pain is always there. If you are a true athlete, a true runner, a pain is always there. Without pain, believe me, no gain.
No pain, no gain.
Yeah, no pain, no gain.
Beautiful.
Right.
Yeah. I'm sorry, my English, sometimes
but
it's not.
But it's true.
I think
but it's
he
true.
understood
Yeah.
very well. What I think, just he's going to run a marathon tomorrow. Some people they ask me, just what a tip for tomorrow. Well, it's a tip. What you need, just go there, jump the race, and do it.
All right.
That's the only thing. But the most important part, just when you run a marathon, the start is not where the starting line. The start is from the finish to calculate to the back.
Right.
Because when you run a marathon, you run not against the athlete, against the distance.
Yep.
Colin Tung, you're also a familiar face on the local running circuits. You've secured many wins in several local races this year, including the 21K Army Half Marathon. And in my humble opinion, you're one of the most on-form runners in the country right now. Will you agree to that statement? Looking back at your year?
You too kind, Farhan. Firstly, there's this runner called Steve Prefontaine, I think Gabriel Selassie knows as well. Yeah. In his legendary run in the US, and he said before, you don't run at the mouth, you run on the track. So as a runner, I better watch what I say, because there's dozen other runners out there who is trying to beat me.
And Hailey himself tomorrow, 10K, which you'll be participating in.
Yeah. He said he will run with me, so I'm going to take him at his word.
Right.
So anyway, when I won the AHM and the MediaCorp Cross Country Challenge earlier this year, it's true. I think I thought I was some of the best form of my life. It was 2 weeks and 2 wins, and I think the AHM is one of the hardest races to win on the local calendar, so I was really proud to do that. But to answer your question, I think form is a subjective thing. I'm trying to concentrate on the shorter distances right now in preparation for the SEA Games to qualify for it. So, I think it's better to just leave it out on the road and see how it goes rather than talk about my form right now.
Right.
So
one race at a time, right?
That's right.
Right, you're listening to SportsZone on 938 Live, and today we're chatting about the sport of distance running. If you've just joined us, we have with us middle and long distance legend Hailey Gabriel Selassie, and he's flanked by our very own local distance stars in Mok Ingren and Colin Tung. Now, Colin, back to you again. If there's one burning question you'd like to ask Hailey, who's seated right beside you right now, what would it be?
All right, Hailey. I have always felt running has given me this confidence, to overcome challenges in my life, and this can-do spirit. And I know you have gained a lot of running, wealth, fame, influence, and so on. But what would you say is the one thing that you have gained the most from running in your career?
For me, the most was the Sydney 2000. Have you seen that race?
Yes, Poltergeist and
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
That was
Famous race.
Very famous. If you look at that video, still I'm asking myself, did I win that race? And in sport in general, when you have just happiness, when you enjoy. Tomorrow it's going to be just 53,000 people take part. Do you think they come out just to run only? No, some of them they want to enjoy. Taking just as a part of like a fest, a kind of carnival. I had like 2 weeks ago in Addis Ababa, 40,000 people. If you ask them, just why you come here, not only for running, just we want to enjoy it. When you run tomorrow, enjoy it, and same time, just you can remember which race, just in the future, you start to talk. The best race I had in my life. You say this and this and this. Maybe Standard Chartered Marathon tomorrow.
Yes.
Maybe we
when
go
we run together.
The thing, yeah.
You must let me beat you.
It could be. You will say, my best 10K. I never ran, just when I beat Haile Gebrselassie in 2014 standard. But don't beat me, man.
Well, Haile, the focus is back on you again now. Your race tomorrow is your first in Singapore. Have you made any preparations though for the wet weather, or won't it affect you at all? Like how it's raining this very Saturday morning. It might be happening again tomorrow morning. Who knows? What do you think?
I think God knows.
Okay.
Well, it's okay. Actually, just you cannot complain. I think for the marathon runner, just even wet, and instead of to be hot, to cold or to wet, not so bad. It depends on the surface. But for me, I don't like just when it's too much water on the ground. But you cannot complain. I think it's for me, it looks like it's an advantage. Just you can refresh, especially when you run marathon. When it's raining, you can refresh.
And you get hydrated easily. You're thirsty, just open your mouth and drink the rainwater.
You see, that's also
could work as well. Yeah. Haile, yesterday I was at the media conference where you gave a short speech, and you said that runners have gotten faster in this generation. Do you foresee the sub 2 hour timing going down even further in future?
Very sure. The question is when. With the science, with the technology, it will be very soon. I'm telling you. According to my calculation, I said, just to media, the 2035, 20 something. But it looks like now, maybe a few years time from now. Few years time means, just of course, don't expect, just at least 10, 12 years from now. Because there is a campaign called, sub 2 hours. I am going to attend, that meeting next week in Newcastle. They plan to run athlete to run sub 2 hours very soon. It's a technology and science together.
Wow. Who do you think it will be?
I wish me. I think between Ethiopia and Kenya.
Oh, okay.
Mostly Kenya.
Well, now you've had an extensive career as a track runner. You've achieved a lot as well outdoors, even cross country. Do you have a preference though, track or the outdoors? Which one do you like the most?
Track. Track is my favorite because it's a track. Especially when I run in a full stadium, wow, the crowd. It's lovely.
They drive you on, and that's where the
that's
extra
why
kick comes in, right?
Exactly. Just when I broke many world records, 27 world records. Many of them, just track, and especially when you run like race in Hengelo, Zurich, London. Those tracks are amazing.
Yeah. Right now, you always get asked this question though. Do you see yourself running for the next 10 years, even though it's not for competition? Will you still run for fun, so to speak?
Oh. Running is not just the one you stop tomorrow. I would run just until I die. I'm telling you. But competition, you stop somewhere. Even just when we talk about the competition, of course you can compete any race. You don't need to be just top 3. Even just to finish the race, it's a winning. I don't want to stop running. It's in my blood.
It's in your genes, even.
If you ask just everybody, it's in their blood. The question is, can I run? Oh, it's tired. It's sweaty. It's
always that excuse,
right?
Yeah.
But people, they wanna refresh, just by taking a shower. But the brain never refresh by taking a shower. When the brain is refreshed? When you're sweating. It's just how to wash your brain. When the things come out, which means just washing your brain, and this is the way how you avoid stress. This is the best treatment, is running and sweat, to avoid stress. Otherwise, we all just full of stress and full of things,
problems
in our mind.
And whatever.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Exactly. Right. Well, very insightful tips. In fact, Hailey, thanks so much for coming down to our show. But before you go, though, Hailey, our country's top marathoner is seated right next to you. His aim is to make it to the 2016 Rio Olympics. What would you say to Ingrid in his goal to compete with the world's best?
Very possible. I think to make things easier, he needs to do just a training like the place where we're training and training in Kenya. Much possibility just to qualify and to run a good in Rio Olympic. Altitude training is the best for long distance.
Right.
Because it makes just things much easier. But now science is making a lot of good things here. Even here just I've been the center yesterday. I've seen a lot that they even they're making a room just like where you sleep on 2,000 meters above sea level. That's help a lot. But natural is the best way. And by training here, maybe it's a little bit difficult. But try to think. Thinking about just going to Kenya or Ethiopia and some other place. Many places around the world. Just in America, there is just a place where they're training,
right.
And so on and so on.
Right. Now, what about Colin? His dream is on the track in the Southeast Asian Games next year. His event is in the steeplechase. Any words of wisdom for him?
Well, the wisdom for him, just I've seen, just he's really, just a potential athlete. The way what he react and his body structure. I think the only thing what you need, just keep training properly, do hard work. When I said hard work, well, of course, it's hard work. It's not just
not a relaxing stroll.
Exactly,
on the track.
exactly. You know what he told you? No pain, no gain.
That's right. Right, well, it's halftime right here on SportsZone, and you have to say goodbye to the former Olympic gold medalist and world champion Haile Gebrselassie. Thanks very much for taking time off to appear live on SportsZone today, and we wish you the very best for your race in Singapore tomorrow. And the news headlines are up next. When we resume in a few minutes' time, we'll continue our chat, this time on the local running scene with our national athletes in Mok Ingren and Colin Tung. So stay tuned, because it's all happening on SportsZone right here on 938 Live.
What's up, Singapore? I am Fazrul Nawaz. I play for the national football team. For all your football news, stay tuned to SportsZone on 938 Live.
Welcome back to part 2 of SportsZone on 938 Live. I'm Noor Farhan, and today we're talking about the sport of distance running. Now, earlier on the show, we chatted with Ethiopia's long-distance legend Haile Gebrselassie as he recalled his career and gave some advice as well. Now, in the second half of the show, we'll be rejoined by local distance athletes Mok Ingren and Colin Tung to talk about running in Singapore. And the duo will be using the Singapore Marathon as preparation for the Southeast Asian Games next year, and they'll likely even finish among the top 5 local runners at the Standard Chartered Singapore Marathon tomorrow. Now, Ingrid, earlier we touched briefly on your injury, which has kept you out of training for most part of the second half of the year. Now, tell us what things did you do to recover from that injury? I mean, you for sure you did not run with a broken shin now, did you?
Alright, so for my shin injury, actually, it started off in June with some niggling discomfort on my right shin at the front. So what I did was I went to see a doctor at the Sports Council, and we did the MRI scan, and it showed that it was a stress reaction. So that's a good thing because it's not a stress fracture, which will take me out for another 3 to 6 months. So that's a long time. So it's a stress reaction. So at that point in time, we decided to cut back on our training, and I actually did a lot of cycling at the spinning sessions at the Fitness First, where I just do a lot of offloading of the shin and not weight bear it. And then after that, in October, I started to ease back into running. And for the last 2 months, I've been doing more consistent running and trying to build up my volume run once again. So now it's still currently about 75% of my usual mileage. And the intensity, I've not really thrown in at much intensity yet. It's still really of easy running to make sure my shin gets comfortable to start the heavy training next year.
Right, now you're a doctor yourself, and surely you know that the focus now is on making a full recovery and not rushing yourself back too soon, right? But then the battle, I must understand, is that you also have to somehow sustain your level so that it won't be too much of a shock once you resume competition. Has it been easy though?
So it's been quite mentally challenging, especially when you're doing something that is stationary. On a bicycle, for example, I've been cycling for the last few months, maybe like 1 hour sessions, up to 2 hour sessions on the bike. So thankfully, there are some videos I can watch, movies that I watch to help me take the pain off and the boredom off.
The boredom especially,
yeah,
right?
And sometimes the classes are really helpful, the instructors are really, pumped up. So that really helped to keep my fitness there. So I think running is an aerobic activity. So if I try and maintain that cardiovascular adaptations, by bringing my heart rate up and on the bike, I hopefully get the same kind of endurance training when I get back to running. So once I get a bit running, it's more about trying to get used to the pounding, not so much about training the heart and so on.
By pounding the rhythms and all that, right?
Yep.
Right. Now, Colin, you're also surely and steadily making improvements in your running. Just to share with our listeners, though, this is a small fact. Colin had even edged out Ingrid in a race way back in 2005. But now you're both on different paths in your career, of course. Now, how confident are you, Colin, of a good showing tomorrow in the 10K?
Oh, I'm impressed. Farhan, you did your research. Yes, I'm proud of that little known fact. Mark and I, we are the same age. We go back a long way to in school when we were competing against each other. But obviously, he has made leaps and bounds in terms of improvements today. I'm doing the 10K tomorrow. So for the last few years, I've been doing the marathon at Stanchart, and this year I'm doing something a bit different because the last time I ran the 10K at Stanchart was years back. And the reason why I decided to do it, the 10K this year, is because not because I knew Haley was coming, because that announcement was after, but it was because my focus for the SEA Games next year, at least to qualify for it, is in the 3K steeplechase. So that's a shorter event, and I think doing the marathon would disrupt my training too much. So that's why I chose to do the 10K, and fortunately or unfortunately, Haley is also doing it. Yeah. So. Why I'm doing the steeplechase, right?
Yeah, why steeplechase? Because it involves like hurdles and obstacles. It's a different sort of challenge from a normal trail running or normal road races, right? I'm sure you agree with that.
That's right. The steeplechase, it's a very unique event. You not only need endurance. You might be a very good distance runner, and I think probably Mark can tell you as well, but, the steeplechase involves jumping over barriers, 5 of them a lap, 7.5 laps. That means 35 of them altogether in one race. So it requires a lot of agility as well as strength as well. And I think I have abilities that are suited for the event, and I feel that that's the event that I have the best chance to qualify for the SEA Games for, which is why I decided to focus on it. That is not to say that I'm not open to qualifying through other events. If I get close enough in, say, the 5,000 or 10,000, I would be keen to do it as well. But basically, the 3K steeplechase is where I see my best chances at right now.
All right. Now, as part of cross-training, I read that you ran a half marathon in Seoul quite recently as well. Could you share a bit about that experience?
Right. So I ran the half marathon at Incheon Songdo. It's the Incheon Songdo International Half Marathon.
This was last month, wasn't it?
This was in October.
October, yeah.
That's right. So I was sent there by Singapore Athletic Association. So I was very grateful for the opportunity because, of my performance at the Army Half Marathon where I won the local category. Also partly because Monk didn't run. If he had ran, obviously he would be a favorite for it. But I ran it there, and things are very different there because it's much cooler. It's about 15 degrees Celsius and the humidity is much less. So it's very much easier to run a faster time. So I did 1 hour, 14 minutes, 52 seconds over there, which is my personal best. And I think that time is testament to the ease in which you can set such a time over there. Because in Singapore, as Haley has mentioned over several meetings and all, the humidity and the temperature is definitely a factor in terms of slowing down times. So that's something that us distance runners have to contend with in Singapore, the humidity, the temperatures and all that. So yeah, I enjoyed that Incheon race, and I'm looking forward to more races overseas as well if there's opportunities. Yeah.
Right, now Ingrid, it's back to you again now. You're of course in the national service right now as a medical officer. Now, how do you manage that elusive balance though between work and running? I'm sure you get this question all the time, but that balance has been an issue for all sportsmen and women in Singapore when it comes to, you have to really work hard for a living, and there's training to think about, and all that.
I think firstly I want to say that the Singapore Armed Forces has been really supportive of my running. So currently now I'm serving as a staff officer, a staff medical officer. So there are a few types of work that you can do as a medical officer in the SAM. One is a battalion medical officer, where you really need to go out there, outfield with the medics and complete missions.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that.
The other kind,
okay.
The other kind is the medical center medical officer, where you need to oversee the entire running of the medical center on a day-to-day basis. So for me, I'm the third kind, where I do staff medical work in the headquarters. So for that, I mainly have office hour jobs, 8 to 5:30 every day. So that allows me to train in the morning, train in the evenings, and it's quite constant. And the thing about running is that it's much easier compared to other sports, I think. I was a swimmer previously, and I found swimming was tough because you need to travel to the pool, you swim, and you travel back home. But for running, you start from your doorstep and you end in your doorstep in the morning.
Time efficient, so to say.
So it's very, very efficient. And at the same time, for us, we have to do an overnight duty at a medical center once a week. So for me, I go to Pulau Tekong to take care of the recruits overnight. So that's disruptive, but that's part and parcel of our duty. So far, things are pretty good, and because of the time efficient and the fact that you can just get out there and run anytime, makes it much easier.
Right, now as an athlete, you're one of the rare ones to have the ability to attract sponsorship. Now, how important is this ability for all athletes to aspire to improve on, especially, in a day and age where you really need all the financial support that you can get,
I think for me, what perhaps made it easier was that I had a long-term plan for the next few years, and I really made it outright. My commitment is to take 1.5 years off work, to stop my career for a while and focus on running. So that I think that made it easier for sponsors to come on board, because they can see that there is definitely lots of income, lots of opportunities that I'm taking over the next 1.5 years. So that's why maybe sponsors came in to chip in and help. So that I'm very appreciative of that. And I think right now, over the past many years, we have been really relying on the government's funding for a lot of sports. We have a lot of specs programs, for example, that provide government funding for athletes. But I think at this moment, we should try and turn our way towards the corporate companies. They have huge resources. They have the ability to fund many athletes at one go. So I think that's where we should try and change the culture towards getting private sponsorships. And hopefully, what I'm trying to do is trying to pave the way for easier funding for in the future.
Right, now, Colin, perhaps you could chip in on this as well. Now, you stopped working full-time. You were in the stable civil service job, and then now you're training for your SEA Games dream. Now, tell us about that challenge.
Well, firstly, I left the Ministry of Foreign Affairs earlier this year. It was my full-time job after graduation. And, it was not easy because, it's a job with good remuneration as well as good prospects. And I struggled with that decision for a while. But I knew ultimately that, being able to compete at the SEA Games, at a new sports hub, in the year of our 50th anniversary, our 50th birthday, it was something that I couldn't let go. It was something that I knew I would regret if I didn't give it an attempt. So I made the decision in the end to, leave my job, because I knew that it is not a job that is... It's a job that's very demanding, so I knew I couldn't stay in it and be able to train at the intensity that allows me to be competitive. So I've made a decision, and for the last few months, basically, I'm not exactly training full-time because, I do a part-time job, but this job is with Weight Sports, and it's a very flexible arrangement, so it allows me to arrange my training around my work schedule. So it definitely, is a much more conducive way for me to pursue my training in the road to SEA Games. So on sponsorships, I think, like Mok has said, he's really someone who has blazed the trail for us in distance running. He has secured many sponsorships and all that. And I think indeed, there's greater room for athletes to know how to gain sponsorships themselves. Because I think, in the past when I was younger, I'll mostly just rely on my NSA and say that, why aren't they doing this or that for us? But as I grew older, I realized, with Mok's example, that, hey, sometimes you shouldn't just sit on your bum and complain about things, but why not just go out there and try to do something for yourself? So I think it's about making yourself relevant and marketable to partners, to sponsors, so that it's a win-win situation for both parties. And I think this is the best way forward, because ultimately, we appreciate the government support, yes, but at the end of the day, there's a limit to how much they can support, and I think individual athletes can do more for themselves in terms of securing.
So you're saying be more proactive rather than reactive.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Right now, before we let you guys off, what's your take on Team Singapore's year in athletics? Ingrid, what do you think about it?
I think this year has been pretty decent for Singapore athletics. We have quite a few records set in 200 meters and 400 meters, and also one of my compatriot studying in USA, Sori Yong, broke the 10,000 meter record this year. So I think definitely in general, we are on a whole, building confidently and building strongly towards the SEA Games next year. And with people like Colin and some of our other friends, Jian Yong, who is taking time off their work their school schedules to really train hard and qualify, I think we can expect quite a good showing by our Singapore runners next year.
Right, and what's this I hear about your sister Mok Ing Rong? She's also fast improving in the women's category as well. Got a bit of update on that?
Yep, she's really enjoying her running from what I see. I don't run with her much. Sometimes when I head home, I'll go out for an easy jog with her.
But you paced her recently, right?
Yeah, I went for the Newton run.
Oh, okay.
So that's where I paced her because I was still recovering. So I paced her for a 30 kilometers race. And she's doing very well. She's enjoying her running. That's the most important. And she'll be running the marathon tomorrow. So it's going to be exciting, her second marathon ever. So it's going to be good to watch.
All right. Now, Colin, looking forward to the SEA Games next year. Aside from you and Ingrid, how would you rate Singapore's chances of medal performances, based on the form our country has shown so far?
Yeah, like Mok has mentioned, we have seen a few national records this year, but I think the biggest problem for us is that our national standards are still maybe some way off the regional standards and world standards. I mean, if you look at the qualifying times, there's a lot of events where people need to break national records just to qualify for the SEA Games. So that's a problem that we have to grapple with. But I mean, having national records are definitely encouraging. And I think, I can't remember exactly, but I think our presidents mentioned a 3 gold medal target or something. And I think we can achieve those, seeing the talent that is coming through, like Shanti in the 100 and 200. She's running quite dominantly lately. And Jian Yong, he's doing good times in the 800 and 1005. So I wouldn't set an expectation of how many medals we'll get, but I'm quite hopeful that if given the right support, we can press on in terms of achieving those medal targets. And I mean, Mok himself is a SEA Games gold medalist in the marathon and the triathlon, so he's proven that if you set your mind to it, you want it bad enough, you can achieve it. So yeah.
All right. Now, before you guys go though, do you have any message to the Team Singapore Athletics fans listening at home, tracking your progress? Perhaps you could even talk about your Facebook page or your website that you have.
Yeah. Thank you so much to all Singaporeans, for following us on our journey. And sports is a tough journey that we all try and do our best for Singapore, and we really appreciate your support. For me, you can follow my Road to Rio on my Instagram at MOKYINGRAN Mok Ing Ren, and hope to have your support, and let's have fun running tomorrow as well. If you guys are there, we'll see you there.
All right. Yep. Colin, final word. And your Facebook or your Instagram account as well.
Right, I'm really appreciative of all the support that all of you have been giving us, whether in different forms, whether it's in words of encouragement or any other ways. And you can follow me on Instagram on Koltung. It's COLTUNG. It's basically a conflation of my name and my surname. And you can follow me on my blog as well. It's runcolt.wordpress.com. It's runcolt.wordpress.com. And yeah, thanks a lot.
Right, now on that note, thanks very much for joining us on SportsZone. Best of luck tomorrow and for the coming SEA Games in June. I'm sure you both will do the nation proud. So once again, thanks for coming, guys. Right now, time for a traffic update. And when we come back, we'll catch up with two international athletes who are in Singapore this year as they share with us their tips and advice in endurance sports. Time now for Traffic Watch.
Hi Singapore, this is National Swimmer Joseph Schooling. Catch the latest news on Team Singapore on 938 Live.
Welcome back to the final stretch on SportsZone, and as promised earlier, we'll be listening to two international endurance athletes who were in Singapore many weeks back. Now, first off is Team USA's middle distance star and steeplechaser Jenny Simpson, who was in Singapore courtesy of New Balance. Now, she made her name in the women's 1,500 meters, where she won the World Championship in 2011. And here's Jenny Simpson.
It's a misconception to think that a track and field athlete who spikes up for a race is every single day on the track. It's only 2 days a week. And then the other days, some of them are long days and some of them, which means I can run up to 15 miles in that day. Or it can be shorter, maybe 5 to 7 or 8 miles. And a lot of those miles are run either on dirt roads or on trails out in the mountains of Colorado where I live. So I probably spend the majority of my time actually on a surface very different from the track. My favorite, though, would definitely have to be the track. I love being in spikes, feeling fast and fit.
Cross country versus track, though, which is your personal favorite? I mean, you do train outdoors more often than you track, don't you?
Yeah, I do. And, you know, I really emphasized cross country when I was in college, and I was good at it at the time. But now that my focus has really been on the 1,500 meters, I certainly would have to say that I prefer the track.
If you weren't a runner, what would we have become? Military, perhaps?
My sister is in the Army, and she really enjoys it. She's a firefighter at Fort Rudker, and I'm really proud of her. But I would never do it. She works so hard, and I see the sacrifices that she makes, not dissimilar in some ways to the sacrifices I make for running. But if I could have done something different, I think I would have gone to law school and continued to pursue my education and maybe found myself in a law firm eventually.
Interesting you mentioned education. I'm not sure if you know, in Singapore it's always very hectic, it's always grades, school. But what is your advice, though, for student athletes who have to balance their academics and their training sessions as well?
When I was really young, when I was 4 years old, my dad had kind of a normal job at an insurance company, and he decided to go back and really emphasize his education to give us a better life. So at 4 years old, I watched my father go back to college, and that really left a strong impression on me, watching his work ethic and the fact that when I was in elementary school getting a report card, my dad would also tell us his grades. So he taught me a lot just by me observing him and his dedication to education. He then went on to become a college professor, and so academics were always very important in our family, and there was always an expectation that I would be as good in the classroom as I was on the track. That being said, I think my dad really recognized the opportunity that's ahead of me in sports, and he was definitely supportive of me, thinking that education and the opportunity to go back to school will always be there, and all the discipline and all the hard work that I definitely apply to school also applies in sports. And so he thought the life experiences, the opportunity to travel the world, and the chance to really challenge myself and see how good I can be, those things that you can experience in sport sometimes are just as rewarding as what you can do in the classroom.
Champions born, or are they made?
I really think that champions are made, because I was a scrawny little girl running around the playground when I was in elementary school, and there wasn't anyone that came up to me at a very, very young age saying, "We know you're going to be a champion." It really was a development over many years, and there was a long journey that went into the decision in 2010 for me to become a professional athlete. Even to this day, there are instances in my career where there are people that didn't believe I really could be the best in the world, and proving them wrong is one of the great joys of sport, is proving something that other people think can't be done. I think that sports and championships, whether it's in track and field or any other discipline, it requires something more than just physical skill. And I think that's why very often, and maybe in all cases, champions are not born, they're definitely made.
And not just that, you need your social support group as well, right? Your family, your loved ones and all that. How's your support been like at home, your parents and your siblings too?
Yeah, one of the epiphanies in my life has been that really, really talented people can make bad decisions and really take their career off track. And so it was several years ago that I told my husband, I have really learned a strong lesson by observing other people, that you have to be more than just talented. You have to have really good people around you, and you have to make good choices. I think that is more often the key to a championship than just having a physical talent. The amount that I'm willing to work and the amount that I'm willing to dedicate a lot of energy into choosing and vetting the people around me so that I have a really good atmosphere, I think that that energy is just as well placed as the energy I put into my daily runs.
And that was two-time Olympian Jenny Simpson on her achievements in the sport. Now, next up is Sheila Taormina. She is an American former athlete who competed at 4 Olympics and was the first woman to qualify for the Olympic Games in 3 different sports. As a triathlete and swimmer, stamina's the name of her game.
Yeah, I went to University of Georgia, and our mascot is the Bulldog, the Georgia Bulldogs, and one of the fun little slogans we'd always say is, "It's not the size of the dog in the fight, it's the size of the fight in the dog." And so I took that on as an athlete, being small. Usually all things are not equal. We could say if everybody had equal mechanics and equal willpower and ability to suffer through, extreme discomfort when you're in the middle of a race, if all that's equal, then the bigger person probably will beat the smaller person, let's say in a sport like swimming. But I always tell people, well, usually all things are not equal, and so it's truly a wonderful playing field out there, because as a small swimmer, and what I'd share with if Asians are not as tall typically out there is, but sometimes you have the greater advantage if you're the one thinking about technique and being able to. We don't have as big of a body that suffers lactic acid buildup so bad, so we can actually probably deal with discomfort a little better than a bigger person. So I felt like I was at no disadvantage when I was out there. It was fun.
So it also like balances out in the end, right?
It does, because we all have different strengths and weaknesses.
Sheila, what's your advice for the weekend warriors who take up triathlon as a hobby for self-improvement? I'm sure we have listeners, our radio listeners out there who own road bikes and even time trial bikes who would want to complete an Ironman race in their lifetime.
Right. The biggest thing I see, which I'd like to encourage, like you said, the weekend warriors, and they're more than weekend warriors. They're training at 3 o'clock or 5 o'clock in the morning, and then they're doing sessions after work, and it's incredible. And I just want them to understand that our body also needs to rest at times, and that we really adapt to all the training when we rest. So we have to do that hard work, but I think many of them feel that if they miss a day, that everything's ruined, and it's not the case. So I don't think they're getting enough rest, because they have families, they have jobs, and then they're training, in their free time, and sometimes the body just breaks down. So don't be afraid to skip a day or 2 or 3 days. And sometimes even when I was competing as a professional, I would take, say, 5 days off in the middle of my season just to say, I need to adapt and I need to get my mind healthy again. So I just don't want them to feel guilty if they miss a day of training, especially if they've done 2 or 3 weeks of real consistent good training. Well, they should almost plan to take 3 days off completely and get away from the sport.
So you're saying a rest day is important in addition to the incremental training that they would have to undergo?
Absolutely. 1 day a week for certain. 1 day a week should be completely off, away from sport completely. And then every 3 weeks maybe, also plan 3 or 4 days with no sport, and I think they'd find they'd be a much healthier all-around person and be able to tackle that next training session after their days off. Their next training sessions would be all the better, and that's when you take the step up the ladder instead of just staying on the same step all the time.
And that was former swimming Olympic champion, ex-triathlon world champion Sheila Taormina speaking to me about her career. Well, that's all the time we have for SportsZone today. We'd like to thank our studio guests, Hailey Gabriel Selassie, Mawking Ren and Colin Tung for appearing on our show earlier on. A big thanks as well to Jenny Simpson and Sheila Taormina as well for sharing their experiences in their careers. Till next time, I'm Noor Farhan. You have a great sporting weekend. Take care and bye for now.